the boys around here, they're keeping it country. Ain't a damn one know how to do the Dougie. No, I'm not in Kentucky, but these girls around here, yep, they still love me. Yeah, the girls around here, they all deserve a whistle. Shaking that sugar sweet as Dixie Crystal. They like that yawling southern drawl and just can't help it 'cause they just keep falling for the boys around here. Drinking that ice cold beer. Talking about girls, talking about trucks. Running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys around here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Shoot her back and shoot her back and shoot her back and fit. Hey now girl, hop inside. It's me and you gonna take a little ride to the river. Let's ride. That's right. Lay a blanket on the ground. Kissing in the crickets is the only sound. We out of town. Have you ever got down with a do you wanna get down with a girl, you gotta get down with the boys round here. Drinking that ice cold beer. Talking about girls, talking about trucks. Running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys round here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Shoot her back and shoot her back and shoot her back. I'm one of them boys round here. Drinking that ice cold beer. Talking about girls, talking about trucks. Running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys round here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Shoot her back and shoot her back and shoot her back and spit.
Red, 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 red. Welcome to the Wing It Call. August 9th, 2016. First off, Pastor won't be here, so you've got to put up with a redneck witness, and here goes. Lord, please protect and guide everyone listening, your family members, and all that matters. Give us your guidance in understanding and listening today, in your wisdom, your grace, and your patience. That's all we ask in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. And recording is on, and the disclaimer is we are not attorneys, financial advisors, or CPAs. This is our opinion only, not to be taken as any legal advice. And for the rest of the legal disclaimer, please go to thewingitcall.com and click on the disclaimer tab, and you will get the rest of the disclaimer. A couple of things here while we wait for my wingman to show up. A PSA. Here is the PSA as follows. Some of you, this is for people that are members on my forum. Some of you members have been taken out of the membership, and here's why. For these past months, there has been a banner header posted right at the login page. That's where you place your username and password to log in. The message states, everyone in the Wing It room is required to have an avatar, whether lurking, reading, or posting, or in the chat scroll. If you don't have one, please PM Life is Art for assistance. If you have never posted in the forum, please post while in the room in any article of your choice. Rolling chat does not qualify. So without an avatar, without postings, your account has been deleted. Why? It's simple. You come in here, you take everything you want, and you leave nothing. By posting your thoughts, comments, and appreciations, you are at least saying thank you to those who are here providing what you so eagerly take away. I've asked admin to take the banners down. No more reminders to those of you who choose to ignore basic requests. And regarding postings, please read with clarity. It states if you have never posted in the forum, so if you have posted, you're fine. Keep on expressing your appreciations. If you've never posted, get her done. Daylight's burning. So please, we're just cleaning up the room a little bit more so that it is easy for everyone to come in, read, participate, just no aggravation. So there is the public service announcement from me to all of my members out there. And thank you for that, and you'll understand why. And if you have any more questions, go to the wingitcall@gmail.com and send me an email. That'll probably blow up today. Let's see. Uh-oh. I might have to wing it today by myself. Let me send a text here. Are you ready, wingman? Oh, yes, absolutely. Forgot about that. Sorry, Art. I have some more stuff, but we'll take care of the Artmeister. Artmeister, come on down.
This is the Artmeister, yes. Hello, good afternoon to everyone out there in currency land. You notice we changed that from dinar land because there's all kinds of currencies. And wish you all a good day. I think it's going to be a good day. We are getting some word. Every day we get word that the 800 numbers are here. They're coming. We're going to get them. And yet we still sit here waiting. We don't know why that is exactly. Who holds it up, why they hold it up, but we're getting some good info again today. I got one call from a contact who is a contact with a 3-letter agency who said we will get numbers today. Got another call from someone who has a contact in Reno, and he calls me every day with whatever his West Coast Reno people tell him. He said they told him they were told we will get 800 numbers sometime today up till late till midnight or even in the early morning hours. Another contact said they received an email saying all paymasters were funded, all SKRs were done, the authority has been given to release the 800 numbers. And no doubt sometime after markets close today is a consensus on that, which we're not too far off. We're only about 25 minutes from that, with 800 numbers to fall anytime up till midnight Pacific time. So we're getting a lot of that today from several different areas. Today is my youngest daughter's birthday, April 9th. I'd love to be able to give an 800 number out to her later this evening and say, I've got a birthday present for you. It's an 800 number. And she probably says, yeah. We heard that before, Dad. How many times? Oh, God, in the last 6 years you told us every week this is going to happen. It ain't going to happen. So forget about it. It ain't going to happen. Anybody out there have that? I know you do without saying so. But anyway, that's okay once it happens, and they'll all be very happy. The children that have the currency will be extremely happy because they'll have some money in their pocket, and then they'll have a little money to do with what they want for their lives. So everybody be happy then. I guess that's about it. I mean, I just got to stay positive. We know it's going to happen, just a matter of what hour, what day. I know Dizzy Bear said last night that he didn't see how it could go much further because the bonds markets have crashed and banks are in serious trouble, and because of that, it just has to happen, and there's going to be any saving at all. So he kind of felt it happened in the wee hours of the overnight, wee hours of the morning while we're sleeping, and wake up to 800 numbers and all kinds of activity maybe that a lot of people might not like in the stock market and so forth. I don't know much about that end, but that's kind of his thought I know from last night. So anyway, there you go. Jerry, that's about all I got. It's all good stuff, and so let's hope it happens and pray it does. He may have muted himself or got kicked out of his own phone call. You there, Jerry?
Yeah, I'm here. If you'll just mute your phone, Art.
Okay, good.
Wingman.
Yes.
Okay.
I
I know where you're at, so.
Well, no, but I love listening to Art because he makes me feel good.
Absolutely.
You know,
I was going to read that little piece there if you wanted.
Yes. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. And maybe between the two we can find some reality. So.
Okay.
Okay.
So. Okay. First off, please don't take this as being negative because I'm not a negative person at all. I need financial help like most of us in our land. Some intel providers have said, study the information you're receiving, then watch what is happening and make your own decisions. Information is provided daily, and there is plenty of it in dinar land, or currency land. Let's start a new trend, currency land. One must study what you hear and how much information you can really see happening and what you can't. We are all hooked on getting the positive information each day that everything is happening today, tonight, the next 2 to 3 days, when the banks close Friday night, next week, next month, but could still happen, anything, but could still happen, anything, bonds, markets collapsing, etc. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens. The date is important to us all because most of us need financial help ASAP. In my opinion, there is no date because the PTBs don't want this to happen. Therefore, they don't know what a date we are talking about means. How can we say we are closer than we have ever been? The date is like people predicting the end of time, a hurricane, an earthquake, the weather, the coming of Christ. It's all just a prediction, nothing defined. People try to tie special dates, stars, math, Thanksgiving, Christmas, new budget year, China numbering beliefs, Iraq can't make another day, ISIS, Iran, etc., etc. Some intel providers use years past intel and just redate it. It's a sad thing when they do that. We need to face the facts that the PTBs, the banking families, political families are in control of this and still do not want it to change. So what happens? The PTB, the banking families, the IMF, the CBI continue to print old money, quantitative easing, and move money around the world where needed to keep the game going. They prop up the stock market and sell it off for their I'll say that again. They prop up the stock market, then sell it off for their profits, and the game just keeps repeating itself, and on we go. If the market is truly going to crash and banks forgiven their old debts, then what do we care if they keep printing QE money, adding to the national debt? It's going to be forgiven, right? Will it ever stop? Who knows? Some say it will, but we are still playing the old game. Nothing new. What I think is, if this does not happen anytime soon, it will not happen before the U.S. elections is over in November. If the right party gets the victory, then it will not be before the end of January 2017, so the new president can get the credit, or the games will just keep moving on. I'll say that again. If the right party gets the victory, then it will not be before the end of January 2017, so the new president can get the credit, or the games will just keep moving on. Remember, the PTB doesn't care if things collapse. They still have game plans to come right back in on top and control everything. The information that China is in control, in my belief, is not totally true. Yes, they don't like it, like the rest of the world, but they will not force it because that would start a war, and that's what the PTBs want. Hold on. Oh, that's tasty. And no, it's not Blue Moon. Gatorade. I, like each of you, want and need this now, but I'm afraid it's going to take a lot longer than we want and are told. I am not criticizing any intel provider, for they can only report what they are being told by whoever their contacts are. And a lot of those contacts just like to keep the disinformation soap opera in dinar land going. The PTBs know how to play this game very well. We don't. So say your prayers, ask God for help to help us defeat the evil for all the people around the world and not just for us. I will leave this with you. Take time to pray to God daily. Ask God to bless us all spiritually, physically, and financially as we travel this currency journey, and don't let your heart block your smarts. That is all of it. Wingman?
Well, it's very well said, and it really does touch on most of the issues that we as American denarian are facing. My only but in all this is I still believe that, and this isn't it's not a criticism. It's more a fact of life. We have been taught that we are the center of the planet. I mean, we've been told that since we were tiny. The media tells us that. Our politicians tell us that. Our corporations tell us that we are on top of the planet. It is all about us. And I think what would help folks, those who still get caught up in the daily predictions, and tonight we're getting the 800 numbers. And I'm not poo-pooing that at all. There's evidence that we're very close on things like that. But in general, if everybody could really wrap their heads around the fact that this is a worldwide event, it is not U.S.-centric. For once in a long time, the United States is a player, not the controller, and that's the difference. We are absolutely a major player, no question about it. But so is China. So are the
Russia.
I guess I call it Russia, not so, and Europe as a group, and the Vatican, and the oil nations, as a group. There are big players in this, and they all had to agree before this could move forward. This was a series of steps. This was a series of to-dos, as they like to say in management speak. And one by one, everything got done. And it got us to a point where we are, so close. And it could go tonight. It could go in the next 10 minutes, for all we know. But it's been a process. It's complex. We've got 208 nations, to be precise, 192 nations and 16 territories, I think it is, involved. It's a real coordination effort, and everybody has to go essentially at once, or there will be economic chaos in the forms of double dipping, in the forms of payments of contracts. I mean, you name it. And that's the one thing that I never hear people addressing when they're trying to define where we are at, So I think I'm going to leave it there. That's the one thing I would add to all that, because that person touched on all the other issues. The daily predictions, the old recycled information, the selfish needs of some folks who are involved in this thing, the con artists that are out there, you name it. It's all now part of it, and we are players in this game. So, but it's a world-class game. So we got to think like world-class players.
And I would like, let me get back over here. I'd like to say that you can't just focus on Iraq. I've said before, and you can find it in the big word here. I found it in ink. It's in ink. Well, not everything in ink is true, but this next one is. Iraq, when they come out, their currency will be asset-backed. I've addressed this before, and I'm going to address it again. It's not all about Iraq. And they cannot come out. They could come out yesterday with their currency, but when they do, it's going to be asset-backed. They're not going to come out with fiat money, worthless paper. Think about that. They've got a geological study. There's a huge gold deposit reserve right underneath the city of Baghdad. For starters, I mean, they've got phosphorus. Oh, what is it? Yellow cake, diamonds. It's the land of milk and honey. This is in the Bible. They're not going to come out before anybody else, because when they do, there'll be an asset-backed currency. So anybody that's directly laser focused on what Iraq is doing, they're putting on a puppet show for all of us to watch. I know that I'm not supposed to say things like that. Ooh, shame on Jerry Maguire for, saying it's a puppet show. It is. It's a theatrical play. Sorry, more Gatorade, hold on. It's a theatrical play, and we're all watching it. And when they are told to push the button like everybody else, they will. Until then, there's going to be right up to the line. They're going to toe the line. We're ready. We're ready. Oh, wait. More infighting again, back and forth. Bunch of hogwash. We all should know better. Sit back. Don't micromanage. That's Dizzy's, that's his viewpoint. He micromanages, and I got to say, as a micromanager about the information he's bringing, spot on. But he's called it a couple of times, and nobody is right. That I'm just putting to you different things, different intel providers. I would just want somebody to be right one time. Unfortunately, nobody knows the date and nobody knows the rate. Now, there is people out there that have great contacts. There's no denying that. But the game is always, as Tony says, it's a moving target. I sent you this email, but I know you're on the phone, Wingman, so I'll read it. Everything is complete and done. We wait on our numbers. Banks are ready and waiting. All pre-testing with banks have been completed. Bankers were arrested for doing exchanges without authorization. We'll see this in the next 3 to 5 business days. Don't leave the money in the markets or bonds. Don't leave money in CDs at the bank. Safer to put your money with the bank and negotiate an interest rate on the accounts. Don't use their CDs. These are things that we hear all the time. Read between the lines. We've talked about a lot of this over the calls. Now we're going to get to the questions for the. Yes, sir. Wingman?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that this is all useful information when we get into the exchange appointment, because some of it is based on fact, some of it's based on conjecture. But the more exposed we are to all the information, the more prepared we will be to negotiate the best deal when we're at the meeting. That's one of the tough things about this this venture, is that we've been given false information, we've been given true information, and the more we're exposed to it, the better the more background, the more history we're going to have, which is important when you're making a business decision. You can't go into a brand new business, a brand new field, and expect to make perfect decisions. Just because you were successful in one industry or one type of business doesn't mean you're immediately successful in another. You got to apply your skill sets, but you got to learn about the business, and that's what we've been doing, especially over the past few years. Once these information sources started to come into play, and we got tighter and tighter resources, whether or not they were real or fictional, they were all based on something somebody heard somewhere. So it's a little tough, because you don't want to believe the BS, but at the same time, the BS teaches you to discern and decipher the truth in what's being told to you. So when you get in that exchange meeting, you're gonna know. You're gonna say, oh, so that was true and that was BS, and that seems to be true. So I'm gonna ask them this, or I'm gonna go for that. It's been an education, and actually, in the long run, I know it's been frustrating for all of us. Some of us would have said, look, I just would have taken the international rate 3 years ago. Why put me through all of this? But still, you've learned to manage your money. You've learned to negotiate better. You've learned what to look for. So, again, that email, same thing. We used to have a management term for it. You mine for the gold in what somebody's saying, because you got to shovel a lot of dirt. You got to shovel a lot of raw ore to get it to the integration.
Boy, that's a good way of putting it.
So, question number one, yeah?
Yeah, shoveling dirt's a real good way of putting that one.
Yeah. Well, we're all information miners, that's for sure.
Okay. Question one. Okay, we have had enough questions concerning dates, rates, pre- and post-RV tips. I think most of us here just want to know the status of where you, Jerry, Art, and Iko think we are in the process of really coming to fruition. Do you believe Sharon from Gary's video that she is really going to the bank tomorrow to exchange? Just want to hear all your thoughts. Love you guys. Thank you for your service to us here in the battlefield, waiting for the real action. I didn't see. Did you see a Gary video with a Sharon in it?
I didn't see the video. I got that email that was distributed about it.
Okay. Don't know. Didn't see the video.
Yeah.
And our thoughts on it. Well, you're hearing our thoughts on it. So. Let's see.
Another thing here too that we were discussing the other day. Do we believe when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen, all of that? I'll just share a personal story. Back in 2007, when the economy collapsed, my business we were at the top of our game. We were making money. We were having a blast. It was real good to be in my business. And then literally overnight, it collapsed. We were involved with Enron. We were involved with Lehman Brothers. I mean, literally the rug got pulled out from under our business. It was construction. It took my partner and I 6 full months to admit that we were going to go bankrupt, because we were such superstars at the time, and we were so successful, and we've always pulled everything out of the hat, even when we got in trouble, that we thought again we were just going to figure out, you know, where to wave our magic wand, and everything was going to be fine. And it wasn't until we were at the bottom, the bank wouldn't talk to us, our suppliers wouldn't talk to us, we couldn't make payroll. We finally sat there together and said, hey, guess what? We really did go bankrupt. But up until then, we refused to believe it. And I think that's happening a lot for the power structures right now around the world. They just can't believe the game is over. And it's taken them a long time to admit it. And finally, you know, and particularly the bond market and the European banks, they're getting it. You know, they're finally getting it. So that's why everybody is predicting that we're close, that we're predicting, you know, like at 800 today. This is the densest 800 number batch of predictions I've heard to date. I mean, we're getting it from all over the place. But is it true? You know, you certainly can't do your happy dance like they like to call it these days, quite yet. You know, you can rehearse it, but don't be doing any happy dances quite yet. It'll come.
Well,
It'll be a big surprise.
Here's another question. Why is it so hard to determine if Iraq has a new rate, or is it still using USD? Are there forces restricting internet and social media? So I want to answer it like this. I know for a fact that the MasterCards in country and out of country have a rate of 371 on them. Know it for a fact. Also know for a fact that the Iraqi Olympians have MasterCard over there in Rio, and they're using their cards. They're spending money. They're getting money on their cards, and they're spending money in and out of country. They just don't have an international rate yet. Why? Because when they come out of the chute, they're going to have an asset-backed currency, and when that happens, it's going to be a free-for-all. Nobody will want anything but an asset-backed currency. Kind of like the yuan, come October 1st, is going to be part of the new SDR, which stands for Special Drawing Rights with the IMF, and they're going to be an asset-backed currency. Talked about that too about a month ago, that it could possibly go to October 1st, but I'm hoping not. Still got my fingers crossed. So that was that question, and then I'll read one more question. We'll take a couple callers, and then we'll read some more questions. Question 4. Jerry, is it true you use a straw to drink Blue Moon? Why, yes, I do. And I also, when I'm holding that straw, I have my little pinky kicked up in the air. So that panache. Okay, we're going to take a caller.
The whole image you used just been ruined.
Well, there you go. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 319. I'd like to know if that big granary's still down there. I used to haul corn into it. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 319. Okay, the last 3 of your phone number is 153. You're unmuted. Come on down. Hello? You got your hand raised. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Like, I guess They don't want. There you go. Hello, can you hear me now? You're wiggling there. All right, I'll have to come back to you later. Austin, Texas, 512.
Good afternoon, Jerry, Art, and
Wingman.
the other gentleman. What? Yes, Wingman. First of all, I do want to say you guys have been really super in giving us some good information. And you know, of course, we've heard a lot of different gurus and different calls and giving us different pieces of information. But my question today deals with something I heard a couple of nights ago about the Zim. You know, we have been told that on the Zim, they're going to knock off 6 zeros off of whatever denomination we have, you know, from the $100 trillion note down to the $1 billion note, so that everything kind of comes in the millions. I heard on, I believe it was Tuesday night, that that's no longer true, that the IMF has a particular regulation that deals with currencies having the zeros dropped from the ends of their denomination. So, in essence, I heard that we were going to look at a $100 trillion note as a $100 trillion denomination to look at, and then we'd see whatever rate was being offered. Is that true, or is there some disbelief with that?
Well, I want to do some math with you. If you've got a 100T note and they give you 1 penny, do you know what that makes it worth?
Probably about $1 trillion. No,
So
it would be about $1 billion. $1 billion. It's $1 billion.
Right.
1 penny.
It'd be $1 trillion.
A
Would
trillion.
it be $1 trillion?
Yeah,
well,
$1
$100 trillion. Okay. $100 trillion then would equal out to $1 trillion.
So who does that make sense at 1 penny? So who does that make sense to? And we've heard they've dropped some zeros, and now they're not going to drop any. I'm just trying to do some math with you.
Yeah.
And just think, if you had just 10 notes, there's $10 trillion. At that point, let's go buy a couple countries.
Well, I know.
So
it blew me away.
To
look at that.
What I'm trying to say is, who does that make sense to?
It doesn't make sense to me, but I heard it from what I consider a pretty reliable source, and of course, what confounds it even more is the fact that there was a late night guru conference call last Friday where the Zim sovereign rate was going to be announced to be 571, the IQD 168, and the VND 113. And I know sovereign rates, are being called privately negotiated rates now.
Okay, so I want to ask you, if a 100T note has no zeros lopped off and a penny, 1 penny makes it $1 trillion, and they want to offer you 571 USD to 1, now who does that make sense to? It doesn't. I know who you're talking about, and I'm trying to refrain from being extremely negative. I'm just trying to be pragmatic and practical here.
I am too, and it's kind of weighed on my mind since last Friday and last Tuesday night call, and I've got a considerable amount of Zim, and so I'm looking at it as an opportunity, and I'm prepared. I mean, if they make the right offer, I'm going to make the right acceptance. But also, I'm taking a lot of what you guys have said is don't get too much, because with that too much comes a lot more responsibility for doing what's right and getting it out there to the folks who need it.
And once again, if there's a contract payout, that's why I'm taking an attorney with me. Let's read the verbiage and let's see what's going on. Protect yourself. Be flexible. I've been saying that from day one. Alrighty, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
So we have Sherman, Texas, 903. Come on down.
Hey, Jerry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Hey, in response to that last caller's curiosity, I may be able to shed a little insight. I was on a call last night, and it was He Who Has No Name's call, and he had a brand new inquiry from a lady who had just been introduced to this foreign currency exchange. She knew nothing about the process, so he, in a 3 or 4 minute conversation, gave her an overview, and something he said turned on a light bulb in my dim brain, and his words were, I'm going to try and paraphrase them so that you or I don't get into trouble, but he said these high rates on these currencies are going to do to this country what we did to those countries when we loaned them money at exorbitant rates. We're going to get exorbitant rates back into our country, and then they're going to take our legs off from underneath us. We're going to come crashing down. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, that made sense to me. Now I get the 571 on the Zen. It's only going to be there for a split second. But if we have it and they go asset back, we're going down to our knees. And I am out. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. We have Anonymous with no name and no city. Come on down.
Jerry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Now, when you guys say that you say you can show up tonight, tomorrow, whatever, what are you exactly? How are you expecting to receive that? Are you expecting a rate to show up on a Forex or some major announcement? Do you think that's going to show up and everybody's going to go all at one time, a shotgun approach? I've been hearing that the RBGCR is already here and that it's already started with some of the private groups. Do you not believe that, or what is your understanding?
Heiko?
Well, my personal belief is that the process has started. However, like everything else, it's got to go through steps. I don't think there will be a major announcement. I sincerely doubt it'll show up on Forex or the CBI or CNN Money or any other official site, probably for months. There's a belief out there now that there are essentially in what they're calling the Tier 4 release, which is individuals, which is us. There's a private group of people with private exchanges, which is the people like the Admirals Group, the other organized group, the Wells Fargo Group, the Internet Group, and then there is the public exchange, which is folks who bought a $25,000 dinar note because your pastor recommended it and put it in the drawer somewhere. Somebody gave them a $25,000 note or 100,000 dong or something like that, and they put it in the drawer. They'll find out about it eventually from more mainstream sources like a signboard in your local bank saying, by the way, we exchange dong, dinar, et cetera. They'll list them and they'll have the exchange numbers. They go, oh, I got one of those. but it's not going to be a major announcement. It's going to filter out among these various groups and individuals and folks who have phone calls, folks who have email lists, but the word will get out to us, the internet crowd, pretty quick. Tony once gave an example that, there were 20,000 people listening to his call. By the end of the day, that number grew to something like, I think it was 265,000. And by the following morning, it had basically, been communicated to, at the time, all 5 million dinar holders. Good news travels fast, especially because, on the back of the internet now, it multiplies exponentially. So I think that's how we're going to find out about it. Somebody somewhere is going to get an email, and they're going to email their 30 primary contacts, and those 30 are going to email their 30, et cetera. And if you do the math like that, if you ever talk to an actuarian, they'll actually show you financial models on how things like that happen and how quickly they can happen. So that's how I think we're going to find out about it.
Well, if I'm hearing you correctly, you believe that it's going to funnel down through some form of a pecking order through groups and work its way down to finally to the general public. Well, when groups go through, they're going to sign NDAs. So the only thing you're going to hear is like the thing you've been hearing people saying this and saying that. That's the way to verify it.
Before they sign their NDA, they're going to call all their friends. I'm going to call all my friends. I get the 800 number. I got a list of people I'm going to call and say, did you hear it's out? This is it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Before I sign an NDA, before I make, there's physically there's got to be 2-3 hours minimal from the time you call the number and get into a bank, get into an exchange center where you're going to sign that NDA. You're going to talk to other people, and I believe they're counting on this. They want it to organically multiply, and it's going to feel like a hierarchy for about 10 minutes, and then it's like, and then it's going to be like, like a wildfire in Northern California. It's just, that's it, You're going to see it over across the valley, and all of a sudden you're going to be standing in the middle of it. That's how I think it's going to happen. And that makes, again, I like to say this, that makes good business sense for the banks, because they'll get a flow started, and then they'll get an idea of how things are going. So they'll get an idea of how to schedule people, and it's because nobody knows exactly how it's all going to work. They've got an idea of how to make it work, but until it's the old saying about having a battle plan, and then somebody fires a shot and the whole battle plan changes. That's how I think this is going to operate.
Does that help you out, sir?
Yeah, it does. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you. Well, here is a blast from the past. Water on the web. Come on down.
Well, hi, Jerry. How are you doing today?
Hydrating myself.
Good. I've got a question. The lady that called before this past caller, she said something about we're going to get higher rates, and then I didn't understand what she's saying, that we're doing to other countries what did to us, and then we get higher rates and then have our needs taken out. Could you explain, either you or Wingman explain, what does that mean? Because I don't understand that.
Economics, it's what the IMF, the World Bank does. That's a hard one to explain. If you forgive me if I say, can I pass on that one for now?
Can Wingman explained. I guess what I'm trying to understand is if we talk about higher rates, if I understand the question, if we get higher rates, it's like there's going to be some detriment if we have high rates. That's what I just didn't understand.
Well, one thing that I was thinking when she went into that explanation is that you've got a lot of patriots with 100 trillion T-notes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, them. I'm not so sure they're going to want the U.S. to get its knees busted. It is going to give the rest of the GCR is going to give the rest is the whole concept behind the GCR is to level the playing field,
Right.
so that United States, Russia, China, we've all been doing it. Nobody's guiltless in this. We go into these third world countries and we essentially take them over economically. We don't have to invade them. We only invade them when they resist. And we've been doing that for that's been going on over the centuries. I mean, that's what was going on during the Crusades. You know, it's like world dominance, and it's always about money. It always comes back. You know, that's why that book, All Wars Are Bankers' War, or that video, All Wars Are Bankers' Wars. Great,
yeah, I've heard about it.
Great, yeah, it's a great thing. You gotta read it or watch it. I forget which one it is now. I've read and watched so many, but what she's saying, and she's not wrong. They're finally going to be able to do that to us. For example, Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all those rare earth metals we need for our space program. Guess where they're coming from? You know, they're not out in the Rockies. You know?
Yeah, Zimbabwe and China have all of the rare earth metals in quantities.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
so
did that help you out?
They're going to be able to flex their economic muscle for the first time in history. You know.
So how can we protect ourselves?
Well, we will protect ourselves. You got to remember. I mean, it's like there's a lot of smart people in the United States. You know.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. You don't.
Hold on. Here's how we protect ourselves.
Okay,
Once you
ahead.
exchange, get your economic advisors and financial planners to help you and tell them what you want to do. Pay for what you get.
That's where I was going.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I intend to diversify and all that good stuff. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I think I understand what she's saying. It just sounds very ominous when she said it's like if you take the higher rates, somebody's going to get you or something. It's like, I plan to get as high a rate as I can. But all right,
there you go.
Yeah,
Right,
and again, what she says is something that we all need to consider as a possibility, and we need to plan accordingly.
Yeah. All right, well.
But we don't need to panic.
No. Okay, well, thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Houston, can you hear me now? 713.
Good afternoon.
Howdy.
How you doing?
Probably like you, sweating because it's hot outside.
It is extremely hot outside. Well, my question is not really a question, but my comment is that, I've been on this gravy train for 6 years, and, basis upon human beings is food, number one, water, and then finances is what we go by. And it seems really ironic that, almost 2 years ago, Tony talked about people in his state, exchanging with their credit cards and having, 371 or whatever it was back then. It's at a point now where it's like it's really hard to understand really truly what's going on. I know that you're doing your very best, and from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you opening up this call. as well as Ray Wren and the Big Call and everybody else. We're all trying to find out really what's going on. And it comes down to the point where it seems like most people are getting information, but we really don't know the truth. The truth is that I hear you every other day, or not you personally, but the calls are all saying the same. Seems like the same thing. My feeling is that it's like the carrot in front of the horse. The carrot is gone. It's a string hanging down in front of us, and I have believed in this thing for 6 years now. Every day, I've been reading, doing our recap, been doing everything I can to do my research. I have done everything I possibly can to understand really what's going on. And it just seems really bizarre that we're sitting here August now, which we really believed in January that this would be over with. There's a question in my mind is that you go into other websites and you start understanding a lot more things that make you not want to believe, but at the same time, in your heart of hearts, I truly believe when I was spoken to about this, that this was real. And that is coming up on 6 years come September. And, I'm clearly understanding now the deception that the corporations own the media, CIA own the media, the Hollywood own the media, and where we are right now are human beings with a great heart. I have a heart that really, truly wants to help this planet become peace and love. And at the same time, when you start truly understanding, there's a lot of people that are controlling this planet that truly don't want this. They want to eliminate us. I look at the sky, I see chemtrails, which really, really bother me. And so where I'm at is this. Jerry, I know that you have a big heart. I have heard you speak from your heart. I had tears in my eyes from your heart. And I know a lot of people out there have understood where you're coming from. We have all gone through, trials and tribulations. And, it's really, really difficult to, let me put it this way. The most difficult of all the people ever was Tony. And I know that Tony, I believe in the heart of hearts, was doing what he had to do because the fact is he's in trouble, and I think he paid his penance by working for 3 years of speaking the same thing week after week after week after week. So the truth of the matter is this. I know that the longer it goes, the closer we are, and I truly believe that. I truly believe, I used to put out posts that would state what I heard.
Okay, hold on here. Michael, did you get my text?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Already, sir, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
I'll get another question.
If I could just interject a couple of things. One of the things, and again, I've treated this like a new business venture, and I've attacked it like I had all the other businesses I've created. And if you go for hard evidence, you really do start to see a concrete black and white process that was put in place about 40 years ago. This has been planned for a long time, and they knew how difficult it was going to be, and they knew the obstacles. And then things came up, like Iraq, for example. Iraq wasn't in the plan, although not specifically, although they knew one of the big hurdles was to get the Arab states in agreement on on one price and one control mechanism for oil, because oil was so important. And they didn't count on the internet spreading it. That was something that just hit everybody, that just broadsided everybody. But you look at the hard stuff, you look at the hard facts, you look at, for example, the Executive Order 13303, which said we can share in this. You look in the political moves that China has made. And remember, China doesn't think in 4-year election cycles. They think in 100-year planning cycles. And you look at the systematic decisions that they've made in their economics, in how they're running their country. You look at how what the Vatican has done over the past decade. You look at the Bank of England, what they've done over the past 3-4 years. There really is hard evidence that this is a plan. They're getting steps done. They got to wait for step 5 to happen before they can go to step 6. All of that has been taking place, and it hasn't been in the mainstream. We don't learn about it in school. We don't learn about it in grad school, and we don't even learn about it once we get out into the marketplace. Your average financial advisor, if you say GCR to them right now, they look at you like, huh? What? The RV? What? It's been out there. It's been not a secret necessarily, but it hasn't been advertised. Yet it's been happening, and we really have now. You've been in it 6 years. I've been in it 3 years. But we really have cycled down to the last couple of steps, and maybe even we've gone through the last step. This is what I'm hearing, and this is what I'm seeing in the mainstream media. They're all talking around it. Nobody wants to be the first one to say this is what's going on, because again, it could take another month or two, and then they'll be labeled as an idiot. And you know what happens in the media. It just takes one misspeak, and there goes your whole career. Like that politician that laughed funny or howled. I forget his name. That wrecked his presidential campaign. I mean, look at what the whole country turned on that guy because he was over exuberant at one point in his primary run. And everybody's afraid of doing that.
Stop talking about Ross Perot like that, okay?
Oh, it wasn't Ross. It was somebody else. But I hope you get where I'm coming from. If you step back and try to look at this as an academic, you really do see concrete steps and concrete moves and world-class economic decisions. They're out there. They're out there. When all the ships stopped for that week, that wasn't a fluke. That was the maritime industry saying, "Hey, guess what? We're not shipping any oil now because we don't know how we're getting paid." It wasn't the oil producers that did that. It was the guys that owned all the ships, because the oil producers don't own the ships. They rent the ship to get their oil from wherever they're selling their oil, but the ship gets paid separate. And all of a sudden, the whole maritime industry said, we're not getting paid. We're worried about how we're getting paid. So guess what? We're not shipping a damn thing. You see things like that happening along the way. Now, all the ships coming down the Gulf, they're all getting paid in yuan. They're not getting paid in U.S. dollars anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You can see evidence, and it's almost like a complicated legal battle. They're building a case for the GCR to move forward. And the bond market, there are serious measuring tools out there now that are unbiased. They're just, here's the man. And the bond market, 70% of it is down the tubes right now. Some of it's seriously down the tubes. And the rest of it not making money. That's real. And what's real is if the bond market goes, the banks that are hanging on by their fingernails go, because they can't artificially prop things up. If the banks go, the markets go. And if all of that goes, the only way out is the GCR. And from what we're hearing, everybody understands that now. It's like what I was saying before about me realizing I was actually bankrupt. It took 6 months for it to sink in, and it finally sunk in because I was basically getting it shoved right in my face. Guess what? You're done, buddy. And I think that's what had to happen to all the power brokers out there. And it really is done, and they see it, and they've been making moves to correct it behind the scenes because a lot of them simply don't want to go to jail. That's
let's
a real motivator.
Let's take another caller here.
Okay, all right.
I got 2 people from Las Vegas, Lost Wages. I'm going to click on the one that the last 4 of your phone number is 0596. Come on down.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I'm Toasty on the chat. I was until I got tossed off this morning. But I've done everything correct, and you will be getting an email from me. And I wanted to thank you, though, for the service that you guys have provided for all of us. Really, it's been incredible, and we're all deeply grateful, I know. And then I want to address one thing very quickly, and that's what that lady brought in from the other call. And it's a concern I've had from the moment I found out that we were going to go back, asset back, and that is that I believe what she was referring to, and I could be wrong, is that if you recall the Weimar Republic and when it went down and what happened to the mark, and it required a wheelbarrow of marks in order to buy a loaf of bread, if you could find the loaf of bread. Now, this is what my big concern is that this is their ace in the hole with us. That they figure, sure, give them all of this funny money that they want, $571 per, who cares? Because we're going to take this fiat currency out, that's what this process is all about, and they're going to be left with a barrel full of money that's worthless. And they won't be a challenge to us at all, because all of this humanitarian stuff will go by the by. The fiat currency will be gone, and that's what they'll be sitting there with. And I think that's what she was referring to. As I said, I could be wrong, but that has been my concern all the way along here. And I'd look for you to address that.
Probably at a later date, though. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, and the other Las Vegas, come on down.
How you doing, guys?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, just food for thought. On my phone, guys, I have a program called XE that you can check the currency rates. Well, Saturday morning, I got up and it wasn't right because I changed my theme. So I went back in there and changed from Iraqi to U.S. dollars. And then when it back into my phone, it showed Iraqi was 0.888. The Vietnamese was 0.044, and the VIN was 2.78. So I took a screenshot of it, went back into the program, came back again, and they're all zeros.
Yep.
Yeah, XE and a couple of others, they do that on occasion. I don't know why.
Yeah, so did I just catch it when they were doing a test or something? I'm like, really? So I took a screenshot, so I think it was crazy. But yeah, it's like, wow. And then I went back and they're all zeros again. I'm like, what the freak?
Yeah. Unfortunately, when in the beginning, and this relates to what the other woman from Vegas was saying too. In the beginning, I'll give Dizzy Bear his street creds for this. He and I were talking once, and I said, what are the new rules? And he basically laughed and he said, we don't even know what the new game is. So until we know what the new game is, how can we come up with rules? And I think this is something that we're all being asked to face, and we know even less than the people who are supposedly coming up with the new game. It's gonna be a new day. It's gonna be a new day. It's gonna be full of surprises. going back to the woman who said, we were going to get cut off at the knees. There's going to be shades of that. It's going to be everything under the sun because nobody really knows what this power struggle or power shift is going to produce. There you go. So it's again, that's why I keep saying, just listen to everybody, get all the information you can, because we're going to be the ones who at least we'll be ahead of everybody else in trying to figure out what the game is.
Yeah, and if people think it's a scam and everything like that, and I never do. I have some of my people still waiting, like, when's it going to come? We heard that last week. But if you go on this thing and it changes the numbers, it's telling you something's going on out there.
Yeah.
I mean, they all change and then you turn around and and then you turn around and roll back to zeros. It's like, wow, I must have caught that just in time.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, guys, I appreciate everything, and I love your program. Thanks a lot, guys. Dominic from Vegas. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you, sir.
All right, bye-bye.
Iko, I think we need to wrap this up.
Okay.
A lot of information packed in there. You want to give a quick summary?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just want to say
we're not going to hell in a handbasket just yet.
No, we're not. We're not. And I just want to say there is a lot of very forceful intel being put out that today's another one of these prime days to get the 800 number. And here's the paradox. For all we know, it is. And for all we know, it is not. Don't do anything to jeopardize your well-being on the anticipation that you're going to get an 800 number. If you got your rent to pay, don't go ordering any Zim this afternoon. Pay your rent. We've all got enough currency. We really do. At this point, anybody on this call has enough currency to live the rest of their lives in a wonderful way. So don't get afraid that the rates aren't going to be there. From all intents and purposes, from what we're hearing, is the rates are going to be great. We're all going to be real happy. I don't think they're going to be $571 for the Zim. I will go on record as saying that. But if you own Zim, you're covered. If you own Dinar or Dong, you're covered. And it's all going to be, again, I say this every call, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Don't get afraid. Don't do anything out of fear. Learn to stop, think, listen, wait until you know you're making the right decision.
Stop, drop, and roll. Got it covered.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah. The economic stop, drop, and roll. Yeah, right.
All right. Well, guess who showed up to give the closing invocation?
Oh, that's because we were
Pastor.
a good boy. That's because we were
Pastor.
good boys. Yeah.
Pastor.
Hey.
There he is.
Take us home. Take us home.
Father, we thank you for today. Thank you that Rick and Iko have been nice to everybody. Lord, bless this time. Bless every person. Lord, thank you for helping us, strengthening us. In Jesus' name, amen. See, that was a prayer of faith there, Rick, because I didn't get to hear any of it.
Well, you did good because we did good, all right?
Good, all right. I love you all.
All right. So where are we at? Where are we at? There we go. Oh, come on. First thing I'm going to do, new computer. Iko, what's the last thing we say?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
The conference is now completed. Goodbye. Welcome to the conference. Please enter the